Hi, everybody. Gary Chavez here. I'm here at CinCityCon 2018, and I have next to me Eliot and Azzy Aretskin-Hariton.
Hello.
Yeah, wave high. This is great. You're waving to at least two or three people
Oh, fantastic.
on YouTube right now, and they have one of the most visually interesting games I've seen here at CinCityCon. It's called Obelisk. So, can you guys tell me a little bit about Obelisk? How many players? What are the main mechanics? Just give me a quick summary
Absolutely.
of Obelisk.
30-second elevator pitch. This is a cooperative game for 1 to 4 players. You can't play it solo. It is a game where you are playing as advisors to the queen. She has left, and she's put you in charge, and as soon as she leaves, monsters start appearing out of a portal. Generally a bad thing. So the monsters, they're going to wander around the map. They're going to try to escape into the outside world. They're going to try to escape up into the mountains, and it's your job as the player to corral them all and capture them before things get out of hand.
Okay, great. What was the inspiration for this game?
The biggest inspiration that we had was playing tower defense computer games on the PC. So what is it? There's a number of PC tower defense games, including like Sanctum 2, Sanctum, on Steam. There was also a number of Warcraft 3 tower defense mods that many people played over the years, and that kind of built up the tower defense community. And so that was one of our big inspirations for putting together a tower defense board game. Was we wanted to kind of encompass some of that challenge that tower defense has at its core, and incorporate that in a board game where you could actually sit down with people and play it, as opposed to just doing stuff over the computer.
Okay, all right. How long have you two been working on this?
Probably been about a year and a half now.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say a year and a half. The game you're going to see in front of you today, that's about 1,000 hours of work in our free time.
Okay. And how much long? What stage are you at? Are you at the late prototype stage? Are you going? You think this is the game, or do you still need a little
all
bit
the core mechanics are pretty much set at this point.
Okay.
The only thing that we are working on at the current point in time is artwork.
Okay.
So we have my aunt doing some of the artwork for that. She's a children's book author, so she is drawing up some new artwork for us. And then
let's give her a name to give her props.
Yes, Anka-Hariton is my aunt.
Okay, great.
So she's working on some more artwork, and that would be released most likely with any kind of crowdfunding.
That's fantastic.
Thing that we do. So
okay, what's been the greatest challenge about developing this game?
one of the biggest things that I wanted from a tower defense game was the ability to uniquely steer the monsters around the map.
Okay.
And when we were first researching what other people had done for tower defense games, what we found is they completely avoided that problem. And they all of their monsters went in a straight line from point A to point B.
Okay.
And there's nothing that the players could ever do about that. And so the first challenge that we had when we were first thinking of making a tower defense game is, how do we let the players move those monsters dynamically in some sort of way where the players have an active control over how the monsters are moving around the map. And it seems so simple now. The solution we came up with is essentially arrows. There's an arrow on every tile, and the monsters follow the arrows from tile to tile. But to get to that point where we found that simple solution, that was 2 months of work.
Yeah.
So I mean, you look at it and you're like, well, of course, everyone follows arrows, but to get there, it was a lot of effort. It's a lot of brainstorming, a lot of paths we traveled down that didn't yield us anywhere.
Okay. So how do the ideas work with you? Two are married.
Yes.
Okay. Husband and wife. We have a brother sister team over here. Just want to make sure we don't get those two confused. So you two are married. How long have you two been married?
5 years.
5 years.
I'm gonna let this one. I'm gonna let her answer.
All right. So how does the brainstorming work, and how does the development cycle work with you two? Is one person specialize in one thing, and person that specializes in the other?
Sort of. So The core idea of the game was Eliot's.
Okay.
I work in mental health care. I'm very interested in like the idea of using games to teach people to kind of interact appropriately and to make games inclusive. So I actually do a lot of work to make this game more inclusive. So I wanted to have a single player game because I was an only child for a long time.
She insisted on it.
Yeah.
She insisted on it. I took it out at one point and it was like put that back in. That must be
I
there.
understand that like desire to play games but not necessarily always having somebody around and still wanting to do that without having to sit at a computer screen. Our other big project, which I actually think was our biggest challenge, is making it colorblind and disability friendly.
Wow, okay.
Every time we thought that we had it right, we would find out that there's a different kind of color blindness that we're not really approaching. So actually, every time we change up our art, we have to kind of flip our colors a little bit and make sure that everybody can see it the way that we think they can.
That's actually for a new designer, it's probably one of the harder aspects to grab about color blindness. And how to handle that, because color is one of the ways you can convey information, and if you're not thinking along the terms of that someone might not be able to pick up that information, but you still want to have as wide an audience as possible and be more. And there's a movement in the gaming community to be more inclusive. That's probably one of the hardest aspects for a new designer to pick up. So how'd you resolve that? How'd you find out how to make this colorblind friendly?
Well, actually, one of the first things we started off with, we started working out with no color at all. We were actually laser cutting these tiles that you have. And so with the laser, you can't actually add any color. You can only basically cut tiles out and etch on top. So that's where we got our kind of designs for our distinctive shapes. Which are actually not designed by me. They're designed by the people on GameIcons.net.
Oh, okay.
Shout out to those guys for putting out a whole bunch of Creative Commons by artwork, and so we reference them in our manuals and our documents because they did the artwork that we then essentially mix to put on the tiles. So we chose designs that would make each of the tiles distinctive. So like easily recognizable. Even if you couldn't see any color at all. So there's that aspect. We did have a challenge with the monster cubes themselves. There's actually kind of a competing interest there. We, on one hand, we wanted to make the monster cubes physically distinctive. So that even if you could not see any color whatsoever, if you it's just shades of gray, that you could still determine what class that monster fit in. But at the same time, we need people to be able to draw the monsters from a bag and not know what color they're drawing, which means the outside shape can't be unique. So it's like those two things really were in competition with each other. And so the best solution that we have for right now we're using these 10 millimeter cubes, and they are different colors, but they are the same types of cubes. But if someone needed a monster that was specifically more color appropriate, they could actually go online and download our laser cut instructions, which we distribute for free, and they could cut their own monsters. And those monsters, they're basically going to be hexagonal monsters that all have the same outward shape, so you can't necessarily tell as you're drawing from the bag, but they're distinct in that when you look at it, there's an actual image that's burned onto that. So that's kind of how we approach that.
Wow. Okay. So what are your plans for Obelisk? Are you going to try to pitch to a publisher? Are you going to try to kickstart it?
I think at this point we are considering doing a crowdfunding, potentially starting with the new artwork. Potentially starting sometime right after Origins. That was our thinking right now. Now we are. I think we're pretty set on doing U.S. production for this. I'm a big fan of the Game Crafter. I think those guys do awesome work. And it's just less work for me to worry about going all the way to China and then waiting 4+ months to get stuff back. So I think right now we're thinking of using the Game Crafter for the production, and then the question is, we're trying to build the actual version or versions that we would actually crowdfund like that.
Awesome. And I also want to give a shout out to your playtest group.
Yes.
Can you talk about them for a little bit? So where are you two from? You're not from Cincinnati.
We are not from Cincinnati. We are from Cleveland. We are down here in beautiful Cincinnati for 3 days. And we've enjoyed it.
Some sort of Cleveland playtest gang song or something like that?
I don't know. I'm not sure. But don't put any ideas in our head. We might come up with
Secret
one.
handshake or something.
Handshake. There is a big game development community in Cleveland, and we meet up in a number of the local like board game cafes and this type of thing. And we are always looking at including new community members in that design process, because it's wonderful when you can sit down with other designers that may have had the same type of challenges that you've had.
Yes.
And to get their feedback. And ideally, it's feedback. If you're giving feedback, you want to give that feedback in a constructive manner. So you don't want to say that like, oh, this game is terrible. You want to be very objective. Like, I could not stand the fact that I had to roll a dice for absolutely everything. So like the constructive feedback, that's a challenge. I think we all need to work on that at some level. So I feel like being part of that game design group has helped me work on giving constructive feedback as well as accepting it, because you don't always want to accept it.
But I will say, along with the 1,000 hours of our work was also probably a good several hundred hours of taking people's feedback and incorporating that into the game and making new iterations of the game based on that.
And Azzy can attest, it takes me about 2 months to actually accept any type of feedback. Because
that's only for me though.
No. What will happen is someone will give me feedback, and I will. Initially, I always resist, and then after about a month, I start internalizing it, and by month 2, I propose it to her as my idea, and she says, "What do you usually say?"
Didn't somebody else say that?
Yeah, like that's my, right? You tell me that it's your ideas in the beginning. You were just waiting for me to come around. So that's.
He gets there though. He gets there and gives everyone credit. So
Great.
That's the important part.
Absolutely.
All right. So Azzy and Eliot, Aretskin-Hariton, and the game is Obelisk.
That is correct. Yes.
Great. Wish you much luck. Please keep in touch. We'll put your Facebook or website
That'd be great.
on the YouTube, and we'll keep track of you on my Facebook page. So
excellent.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, both of you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. All right. Fantastic.
And we're out.